So you want a machine tower that can decimate early game enemies. Well, it's time to use the Sentry. This bad boy has a bit of complexity to it. So let's figure out how to optimize its use. But first, what does it do? Well, for most towers, they can shoot enemies anywhere around them, even when they aren't facing them directly. The Sentry, however, has its range locked in a cone of view, meaning the Sentry cannot shoot behind itself. This range, however, can be adjusted by rotating the Sentry around before placing it. There will be a few spots that will be important for Sentry, but let's get back to that later. Another feature of Sentry is that whenever it loses all of its health, it can rebuild itself once. Looking at Top Path, it focuses on dealing a high amount of damage and range. It gains stealth detection at level 3, and at level 4, it will also ignore bullet resistance as well. Yeah, this path is just fully loaded with damage. Bottom path, on the other hand, is different as it actually increases the angle in which the Sentry can attack. Along with this, it gains rockets which will fire occasionally and deal quite a bit of damage. Oh, and it also gains stun immunity at max level as well. Okay, so now we gotta figure out how to use this machine. Unlike other towers, the placement of the Sentry is extremely important, since if you don't place it properly, it will be useless at defending. Now you might be wondering, but LocalJoiner, where do we place our sentries? Well, I'm glad you asked. The answer is it depends. In the early and mid game, you always want to go for top path sentries, as they are cheap but deal a lot of damage. On maps with a long sharp corner, the best place to put top path sentries is on the outer part of the corner, rotated to face towards the path. However, you may need to adjust this slightly based on the map you're playing, so make sure to adapt your sentry around it. On the other hand, maps with uneven corners or very little corners will vary the sentry placement a lot. You may need to place it in this position or place it at the entrance instead. Just try and fiddle around with the sentry and find out the best placement. As for upgrades, you want to get the first 2 bottom path upgrades, then rush levels 3, 4 and 5 as fast as possible. For bottom path sentries, they are more suited for the late game. They perform best at the inner corners unlike top path, but you still have to rotate it properly to face the corner, or else it will perform worse. Basically, rotate the sentry around so there are no paths behind it. And one last thing. Remember when I said that the sentry can rebuild itself? Well, other than saving your sentries from dying,
Sentry down!
Nope. It can also make it extremely good as bait. If enemies that can damage your tower start appearing, you can place a few level 0 sentries, which will tank the damage. If they die, no big deal. They will build up again and can tank damage once more. So make sure you spam them around bosses, so their attacks don't kill your expensive towers. Now have fun using the engineer's own creation.